So let's get some opinion on this. Triveni Engineering is one stock in the sugar space that has benefited from this. So we have Tarun, the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Triveni Engineering, who joins us now to talk about that. Tarun, hi, good morning, and thank you for joining us. It is encouraging to see the UP government follow through on the cane subsidy, but can you just tell us how does this help a company like yours? What is the amount on an absolute basis, and would you be expecting more?
So the subsidy that was announced yesterday was from the central government. So this is the first time in history that the central government is directly going to support the sugarcane farmer. And this is a production-linked subsidy. Of course, you have a minimum export quantity that each mill will have to undertake. And provided that each miller does that, you will receive approximately 4.5 rupees per quintal of cane, which will be paid directly to the farmer. So just to clear this up, it is a subsidy from the central government and not from the state government. Now, the central government has done several very important things over the last few months. They have announced a excise duty waiver on ethanol. They have announced this minimum MIEQ, which is this minimum export scheme, which every miller has to undertake, and a host of other factors. Now, all of these together are very important, and if the sooner that this quantity gets exported, between 3.2 to 4 million tons gets exported from the country, the faster we will see some rise in prices, in sugar prices in the country. Now, I anticipate that the price rise will not be more than between 4 to 6% at the very maximum from current levels. With that type of rise, I think that state governments, for example in Uttar Pradesh, will also have to play a role in terms of providing an additional subsidy to the sugar millers in order for us to break even.
Okay, so you're expecting additional subsidy coming in from the state government of UP as well?
Well, the state advised price in Uttar Pradesh has yet to be announced, and we're all eagerly anticipating it. The start of the season is pretty much underway. A few millers in Uttar Pradesh have started, but the bulk are yet to start, and this is typical. This is no different from previous years, of course. And it is around about this time that the UP government does announce a price. Now, one is anticipating that the subsidy that the UP government announces is greater than what they paid last year. And last year, as I'm sure you would remember, the UP government made an extremely bold move, a very, very positive move, by paying 28 rupees 60 paise directly per quintal, directly to sugarcane farmers.
Okay, so 28 rupees 60 paise was last year, but how much of an upside
Correct.
do you expect to see this year, ballpark?
Well, it's not an upside, it's a subsidy. So
yeah,
the subsidy
so
is to make sure that you...
But how much of subsidy are you expecting this year?
Yeah, it's very tough to tell because it's the government's decision. But I think that the Uttar Pradesh government is expected to take care of the gap between the central government determined FRP and the state government determined SAP. So whatever that delta is, I think that is the expectation by the industry, that the UP government will take that upon its shoulders.
Okay. Purely on yesterday's measures which were announced by the central government, providing that 4.5 rupees subsidy per quintal, which is linked to exports, how would a company like Triveni benefit? Any numbers that you could help us with?
Well, certainly. You know, I think for Triveni, our minimum export quantity is 75,000 tons. So for us to qualify for that subsidy, we will have to export approximately 60,000 tons. Okay. Now, exporting this quantity will incur a substantial loss, because at this point in time, global market prices are lower than domestic prices. So we will incur that kind of a loss, and we will receive a subsidy from the government. At this point in time, the loss incurred is approximately 3 rupees, and so if we were to export the entire quantity right now, we would probably break even with the subsidy given by the government. Having said that, as time elapses, I think that this loss for export will rise from about 3 rupees to 5 to 6 rupees. It is already about 5 rupees for raw sugar, it's about 3 rupees for white, but all of this will rise as time elapses and we move into the sugar year. So I think companies that export quickly will be able to save money or break even on this export. However, companies that actually wait may suffer and may incur a loss.
So all it will help you do is mitigate your losses.
That is correct. That is correct.
So in terms of revenues for the company itself, in the quarter gone by, you made sugar revenues of around 346 crores and an EBIT gain of about 30 odd crores. For the second half of the year, can you give us any ballpark numbers on what the sugar business revenues and EBIT will look like?
Well, I think there is going to be a certain amount of pressure in terms of sales. So I think revenues will certainly have an uptick. I think across the country, there is great pressure on the industry to clear stocks and to save interest. So I think from a revenue front, there will certainly be an uptick. Now, as I mentioned, the export that the central government has put very front and center on the agenda is extremely important. If this quantity is exported quickly, we will see some uptick in sugar realizations across the country, and which will have an impact on EBITDA margins for sugar companies. So I'm positive. I'm certainly positive for H2 of this year that we will certainly fare, and the industry will fare better than last year. But there are wheels within wheels, and we have to make sure, as the industry, as a responsible member of the industry, that this export does take place, and we support the central government agenda.
But you're saying that even if the country does manage to meet its export target, it will help in reducing the domestic surplus, but the price rise would only be about 4 to 5%, so that's not going to help too much. Also, if you could tell us what's the current price of manufacturing as well as the kind of realization, so we get a sense of what the loss is.
So last year, the average price for sugar in Uttar Pradesh, and I can take Uttar Pradesh as an example, without the subsidy was approximately 34 rupees per kilo. That was the cost of production. The sale price as of today is about 27 rupees per kilo. Now, the gap between that, the state government did give some subsidy, and so you do have a multi-rupee loss per kilo even today at this point in time. Now, a lot of that, of course, has gone into the results and has been accounted for. Going forward, I think we've started the new year. The new cost of production is yet to be determined because we don't know what the state advised price is. I think we will know in the next few days, and we'll be able to really give you a very solid and robust answer in terms of what that delta would be.
Okay. Coming back to your own business, you have seen an improvement in your distillery business. The revenues were up quite a bit in this quarter gone by. What is the expectation for the latter half of the year?
Well, I'm very very happy about the growth in the distillery business. I think going forward with the excise duty waiver, we will see enhanced profitability in the distillery business of Triveni Engineering. Clearly, the incentive is for us to set up incremental capacity and additional capacity as well to support the E10 program, ethanol blending program for on behalf of the central government. I think the agenda is fairly clear in the years forward. One needs to set up more distillation capacity, and that incremental revenues and profitability from this line will certainly offset any vagaries in the sugar market. So I think from our perspective, we're gearing up to expanding this capacity over the coming years, and for the next half year, our quantity of production will be mainly focused on ethanol, at least to the tune of 90%.
Okay, one final question, Tarun, then from my end. You all are all, in constant conversation with the governments as well, both centre as well as state. Give us a sense, any idea what the state advised price of sugar could be for this coming season? You said it's going to be fixed anytime now. Give us a sense of what it could be.
Well, the industry's hope, the association's hope, and we've written to the government and we've been speaking to the government for some time now, is that the state government actually takes on the gap between the central government determined FRP, which is 230 rupees per quintal for this coming season, and the SAP. Now, last year the SAP was 280 rupees. It's important to remember that as of the 1st of November, sugar prices in Uttar Pradesh were 27 rupees per kilo, whereas a year ago they were 31 rupees a kilo. So given that kind of an environment, we have urged the government not to look at any type of increase and to look at sugarcane, setting of sugarcane price at a very realistic level and an affordable level for the industry. With that having been said, if the state government actually bridges the gap between SAP and FRP, I think that is part of the solution. Of course, there are other measures and expectations as well with respect to first payment and installment, so that every farmer does get paid and does get paid on time, and of course a certain amount of waiver of taxes and duties that are levied on sugarcane, which the government has been giving for the last few years. So I expect that this year it will be no different, and we do expect that waiver.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining us. Well, we need to move